I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from Nashville Superspeedway. Ryan Warp, Mark Dantuma at the front row, Richie Joplin, Michael Whiting on the second, John Talley, Kevin Bruner on the third row, Blake Viken and Paulo Anacito on the fourth, Gerald Poole, Vic Brown round out the top 10. Gil Guac starting in 11th next to Jim Mott in 12th. Stephen Linder starting in 13th, Warren Moore in 14th, Clinton Chambers in 15th, Robert Eggert in 16th, Jeff Oakes starting in 17th, Kevin Hayes in 18th, Darrell Klotz in 19th, Tim St. Jean starting in 20th, Mike Burgess and Bob Baker round out the 22-car field here tonight. Hey, good evening, Russell, cheering on Richie Joplin. As the field stacks up on the back straightaway, getting ready for the green flag. Everybody tightening those belts, checking the wheel, and making sure they are ready to go. And here they come. Pace car dives to pit road. Into the restart zone they go. And here they come. The green flag flies. They are down and away at the Nashville Superspeedway. Tire strategy will be key here tonight. They only have a total of 4 sets of tires. They've got to take care of them here in the early going. Ryan Warp had Richie Joplin right on his bumper while they were battling. Dantuma slips to the lead. And Mark Dantuma will lead lap 1. But Michael Whiting made some moves up on the high side and is battling Ryan for second. Ryan now dropping back into third. Richie in fourth looks low. Blake Beacon right behind in fifth. A few drivers getting a little bit squirrely out of turn 4. Could be a sign of things to come later in the run. Michael Whiting did just set the fastest lap. Hey, good evening, Frank. How are you? Whiting closing the gap on Dantuma. Warren Moore already up into 11th. Jeff Oakes in 12th. Darrell Klotz up 6 spots now into 13th. Gerald Poole struggling here in the early going. He has slipped back to 19th with Burgess right on his bumper. Tim St. Jean just ahead in 18th. Gil Guac in 14th. Robert Eggert in 15th. Kevin Hayes in 16th. Stephen Linder in 17th. Tim St. Jean 18th, Mike Burgess in 19th. Gerald has dropped back to 20th. Bob Baker, Clinton Chambers, 21st and 22nd at the moment. But this is really going to come down to who saves the most tires in the early going to get that late run speed. Richie Joplin battling for third with Blake Veek, and Ryan Warp has slipped back to fifth. Richie finally clears, pulls up into third. Jeff Oakes still on the attack, a little bit of smoke, or a little bit of debris rather, from one of them clipping the wall. Jeff Oakes currently in 11th, up 6 spots, and Gerald Poole has gone to pit road. This is an unexpected stop. Something definitely wrong on the 9 car. Paulo Aniceto currently in 7th, trying to make his way forward. John Talley just ahead, and Kevin Bruner just behind. Bruner losing a couple spots here in the early going. Mark Dantuma continues to lead. Michael Whiting still right there with him. Richie Joplin, Blake Veek, and Ryan Warp, John Talley, Paulo Aniceto, Kevin Bruner, the top 8, pretty much nose to tail. Bit of a gap back to 9th place, Vic Brown, and Jeff Oakes in 10th. Gerald Poole is back out on track. Does look like he was on pit road for a bit, likely for repairs. Gonna try and see if we can see what happened to Thanos in the early going. Gerald on the high side in the 9 car. Coming out of turn 4 down the front straightaway side by side. Didn't look like he got, oh, he gets the wall into 1 and 2. Lost a ton of momentum there. And likely put some damage on the right side of that 9 car. Dantuma still in the lead. The top 3 starting to move away. 4th place, Ryan Warp, about 1 1/4 seconds back. Blake Veekin still holding on in 5th. That same group all still right together. Jeff Oakes now up 8 spots into 9th, but Oakes about 1 1/4 seconds behind Bruner. He's got some ground to make up. Hey, good evening, Steve. We have missed you, buddy. How you been? And Blakey Poo Snickerdoodle Boo Boo is back in the car tonight, currently running in 5th. Darrell Claude's now up 8 spots into 11th. Also on the move, Tim St. Jean, who's up 5 spots into 15th. Mike Burgess up 5 spots into 16th. Michael Whiting just having a quiet night after a great start. Up on the high side, gone. Oh, Whiting smacks the crap out of the outside wall out of turn 4. Richie gets by. Man, that was a hard hit for Michael Whiting. That car likely significant damage. And it did look, as we saw, like Michael Whiting was headed to pit road. There's Michael Whiting coming out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. These top 3, as we had mentioned, had broken away. They head off into 3 and 4. Richie Joplin right behind. Coming out of turn 4 just a little too high. Whiting gets hard into the wall. Rides the wall down the front stretch. Michael Whiting ended up towing it to pit road. Remember, Home Motorsports, they do not have fast repairs, so he's likely to be on pit road for a while to get that car fixed. Gil Guac is already out of the race, and it does look like Whiting has retired. Definitely a bumpy start for a few of the drivers here at Nashville Superspeedway. And we are about into the fuel window. Remember, most of these drivers looking at 22 to 25 laps on a tank of fuel before they go in. Looking at some of the lap times, they have already lost about a second a lap here tonight. Mark Dantuma, the leader, his fastest lap, 30.16. Last time by, 31.34. That's pretty average across the field. And Richie Joplin goes to the lead for the first time. Ryan Warp back in third, starting to close back up. Is 1.3 seconds back. John Talley in fourth. Blake Beacon in fifth. Paulo Anacito, Jeff Oates, Kevin Bruner, Vic Brown, Daryl Klotz, and Daryl Klotz rounding out the top 10. Worth noting, Jeff Oakes now up 10 spots into 7. Jeff just quietly marching his way up through the field. Folks, don't forget, right after the race, the Unicorn will be trucking. Make sure you tune back in for some laps. And rumor has it, she'll be doing some new stuff in the coming weeks, so you definitely want to make sure you tune in when the Unicorn is streaming. Bob Baker went to pit road last time by. Looks like most of this field is going to stretch right to the limit on the fuel as Jeff Oakes takes 6th and sets his eyes on Blake. Mark Dantuma and John Talley have come to pit road. Most of the rest of the field looks like staying out. Clinton Chambers came in. Kevin Hayes also came to pit road. Richie Joplin stays out. looks like the leader is headed in. We're likely to see everybody. No! Wow, this is a surprise. Paul Inesito, Blake Viken, Vic Brown all stay out. Tim St. Jean also staying out. Richie Joplin, Ryan Warp, Jeff Oakes, Kevin Bruner, Daryl Klotz, Robert Eggert, Mike Burgess, Jim Mott, Stephen Lindner, and Warren Moore all on pit road. And here they come. Paulo leads Blake and Vic in. Tim St. Jean coming as well. Richie Joplin wins the race off pit road. 4 tires and fuel for everybody here tonight. Mark Dantuma slides by and may reclaim the lead here. Mark did come in 1 lap earlier than Richie. Tire wear's not going to be a huge difference in the first 5 laps after the stop, but later on it will. A lot of drivers coming back out right now. Jeff Oakes has made his way to second. And Richie Joplin is back on pit road. Richie Joplin had to make a second stop. Not sure what happened there. No penalty from what I see. But he's about to lose a lap now to Mark Dantuma. Meanwhile, Jeff Oakes in second, 4 seconds back. Oakes started back in 17th. We saw the charge through the field early on. His team was very quick on pit road, got him back out, and keeping him in the fight. John Talley now in 3rd, Ryan Warp in 4th, Bruner up to 5th. Daryl Klotz also on the move. Klotz up 13 spots into 6th. Hollow currently sitting in 7th, Blake Viken in 8th, Vic Brown in 9th, Robert Eggert up 6 spots into 10th. That first round of pit stops definitely shaking things up in a very big way here tonight. Kevin Hayes now up 7 spots into 11. Mike Burgess up 9 spots into 12th. Tim St. Jean up 7 spots into 13th. Jim Mott in 14th. Stephen Lindner in 15th. Bob Baker up 6 spots into 16th, but more and more coming by to take it. Quentin Chambers also has a big run and takes a spot from Bob. Bob moves back into 18th. Richie now in 19th. Gerald Poole back in 20th. Meanwhile, up front, Dantuma continuing to extend his lead. Now for almost 4.5 seconds on Oakes. Ryan Warp sitting back in 4th just behind John Talley. Ryan, one of the fastest in practice. Definitely one to watch on the long run. Daryl Klotz looking to the high side on Blake as they come into turn 4. Blake able to hold him off for the moment, stay in 7th. Vic Brown back in 9th, also closing back up. As is 10th place Robert Eggert. Gerald Poole has come in. At the halfway point, Mark Dantum has a 4.1 second lead over Jeff Oakes and John Talley. Still a bit of a battle going on back behind between Klotz and Beacon. Paulo Anacito currently in 6th. Keep and Kevin Bruner in 5th, right within striking distance. Mike Burgess has moved up into 11th, up 10 spots, closing the gap on Robert Eggert in 10th. Hey, morning, Jeff. Nope, that is on Tuesday nights. Home Motorsports is open to anybody. Tim St. Jean has made his way up into 12th. He has been marching forward tonight as well. Closing the gap on Burgess. Whoa! Jeff Oakes in 2nd, just smacked the wall out of turn 2. He was gaining ground on the leader, but that is likely to be a bit of a setback. Oakes now just 3.5 seconds behind Dan Tuma. They're about 4 laps shy of being in the fuel window where they will all be able to go the distance, and then the tire strategy comes into play. How many of them will come in immediately when they can make it versus how many are going to try and stretch the fuel as far as possible? Harold Klotz in 7th with Bruner right on his bumper. Paulo Anacito has finally gotten by to take 5th with Blake on his bumper in 6th. Harold Klotz now in 7th of 12 spots. He has charged this field but was not able to get past Blake yet. Mark Dantuma's lead continuing to shrink just a little bit. Now down to 3.1 seconds. Jeff Oakes kissing the wall has had no impact on his speed. Warp sits in third, right behind the lap car, Gerald Poole. He has John Talley right on the bumper. Paulo Anacito just over a second behind and gaining. Meanwhile, Dan Tuma's lead still shrinking. But Oaks is really going to have to make up some ground on this final stop. Ryan Warp, John Talley also need to close back up if they want a shot at it. Points leader coming into tonight, Richie Joplin, after problems on pit road, has slipped back into 18th. He's going to pick up some ground here as pit stops are underway. Clinton Chambers, Bob Baker, the first two in. Ryan Warp is coming in. Mark Dantuma's lead now down to 2.3 seconds. Jeff Oaks is coming in. Wow, he really came in. He was cutting it close, coming to pit road this time. Final pit stops are underway. Kevin Hayes also in, as well as Stephen Lindner, Richie Joplin, Jim Mott, Bob Baker, all on pit road. And the leader is in. Mark Dantuma comes to pit road. John Talley leads for the first time tonight. Paulo Anacito now in second. Blakey Poo Snickerdoodle Boo Boo in third. But Vic Brown battling underneath to take the spot. John Talley on pit road. Darrell Quantz also completing his stop. Paulo Anacito leads for the first time. A lot of these drivers staying out, stretching, trying to pick up bonus points for leading a lap here tonight. Could pay off late in the season. And here comes Paulo. And Vic Brown will take the lead for the first time as well. That moves Blake up into second. Both Vic Brown and Blake Beacon stretch fuel further than anybody on that first run. And it does look like they've got another lap or so in them. They will have the freshest tires when they come out. Kevin Bruner on his way off pit road, as is Paulo, Tim St. Jean, and Mike Burgess. Jeff Oaks snuck by the leader to take third. Vic Brown is in. Mark Dantuma right behind. Jeff Oaks currently scored in third. Dantuma in fourth. Next time by, we'll likely see them sitting 1-2. Question is, does Dan Tuma have anything for Jeff tonight? Jeff was the faster of the two on the long run. And as they take the top two spots, Jeff Oakes leads for the first time here tonight. For the moment, Mark Dantuma riding Jeff Oakes' bumper. Ryan Warp in third, 4 1/4 seconds back. John Talley back in fourth. Daryl Klotz now in fifth. Klotz up 14 spots, but the biggest mover so far is our leader, Jeff Oakes, up 16 spots. Folks, if you missed the awesome season finale for C12 Motorsports last night, don't forget to check it out on our YouTube channel. As here we go, Dan Tuma looks to the high side. Doesn't have the momentum quite yet. Now he's got a big run into 3 and 4. Out of turn 4, it's a drag race. Oakes pulls ahead. And Dan Tuma can pull up even with him, but he just can't get past. This is one of those tracks. It does take a couple laps of working to get past most of the time, especially with these two being on equal tires. The big difference, Jeff Oakes came in 1 lap earlier. That could be a huge benefit to Dan Tuma, that 1 lap pressure tires as the run goes on, and Dan Tuma reclaims the lead. Oakes in second, Ryan Ward back in third, and now less than 4 seconds behind the top two. John Talley in fourth, Paulo Anacito in fifth, Daryl Klotz in sixth, Robert Eggert in seventh, Vic Brown in eighth, Blakey Pooh Snickerdoodle Boo Boo has slipped back to ninth. And Tim St. Jean up 10 spots into 10th. Folks, if you missed it, the HDSAI podcast is back. The first time in over 3 years. Make sure you go check it out on our YouTube channel. And a lot of big news and announcements will be made there in the coming weeks. Vic Brown currently in 6th place, battling with Daryl Klotz and Robert Eggert. Vic now takes 6th, Eggert into 7th, Klotz slipping back to 8th. Richie Joplin, despite that big setback earlier on, has moved back up into 14th. Can he gain any ground and get any higher here tonight? He came into tonight with the points lead. Just 10 points over Derek Schilling and 14 points ahead of Mark Dantuma. Dantuma's likely going to close up a lot of that gap. Derek Schilling not here tonight. Mark Dantuma, as they run, would pull up to second at points, and it's going to be very, very close next week. Jeff Oakes still right there with Dantuma. Ryan Warp in third. John Talley getting closer and closer to third place. Ryan Warp. Paulo Inesito back in fifth, about 2.4 seconds back, but Vic Brown is running him down. Vic Brown, Blake Beacon were the last two on pit road. They have the freshest tires on track, and they are on the move. Blake just moved up into 8th, as Eggert just ahead. Vic Brown just took 6th, and is closing the gap on Paulo. A little bit of blinking out of Dantuma. Jeff Oakes able to stay right in Dantuma's back bumper as they come to 5 to go. Is Oakes saving? Will he have anything left for him? Remember, Mark has slightly fresher tires, but Jeff has been the faster car on the long run. Oakes looking to the bottom into 3. Wow, Jeff gets a big drive out of turn 4 and contact. Little bit of bumping as they come down the front stretch. John Talley, meanwhile, taking third place. As they come out of turn 2, Ryan Warp slipping back to 4th. Vic Brown looking underneath Paulo Inesito. That is the battle for 5th, and Vic is gonna take it. 3 laps to go. Jeff Oakes currently has the lead. Dantuma in second. Jeff has started opening up a little bit of space, about a half second on Mark. John Talley now in third, about 5 seconds back. He is gaining, but will not have enough time to get there. Oakes will have to contend with some lap traffic. And here we go. White flag flies. One more time around for Jeff Oakes. He started in 17th, did not qualify. Man, what a charge he had through the field. Down into 3 and 4, he is untouchable. And out of turn 4, Jeff Oakes will win at the Nashville Superspeedway. Mark Dantuma coming home in second. John Talley finishes in third. Richie Joplin managed to fight his way back to 14th. So Some really big setbacks for a few other drivers here tonight. And let's see if we can get a word with our top three, starting with, looks like second place, Mark Dantuma's available. Mark, congratulations. A heck of a run coming home in second. That was quite a battle you and Jeff had up front.
Yeah, I burned my stuff up a little bit early on in that run, and he just did a great job taking care of the car. What raced me clean, I appreciate it. Congratulations to him.
It did look like as you guys were passing on the front straightaway, there might have been a little bit of bump in there.
I didn't show any contact, but it was pretty darn close.
It definitely was a very, very close finish and a huge night for you as far as points are concerned as well. You're going to close that gap on Richie in a big way.
Yeah, he had a little bit of misfortune early on, but back-to-back second-place finishes, I'll definitely take it.
Well, man, great job. Congratulations.
Thanks, Doug.
Waiting to see if we can get a word with John Talley or Jeff Oakes. Looks like third place John Talley is available. John, congratulations. Quite a run, especially late in that one. You kind of came charging through the field.
Yeah, I really worked hard to get up to Ryan there. I was really able to push the tires pretty hard, considering the fuel run was only about 20-25 laps. So given more time, I think I maybe could have caught up to the leaders, but they were so far gone.
Well, man, an awesome race overall. You come home on the podium and put on quite a show in the last part of this race. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. Glad to be here.
I don't see... Oh, I do have our winner available. Let's see if we can get a word with our winner, Jeff Oakes. Jeff, I have to say, man, for a guy who didn't qualify and comes from 17th to pull off a win, heck of a run.
Thanks, Doug. How are you, buddy? Feels like it's been a while since I talked to you.
It has been a bit, man. Heck of a run tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. No cautions, and it's always fun to come from the rear like that and just see how far you can get. I wasn't sure because some of them guys up front were blazing fast, but we had pretty good long run speed there.
You definitely did. I think you were the fastest on the long run, and as it got later and later in the run, we'd see you chipping away at the lead, the gaps, everything, all the way around the track.
Yeah, I saw I was catching Mark there, and this was 4 seconds, got him down to like 2.5, and I was actually shocked that I come out of the pits ahead of him, and that really surprised me. And then it just seemed like he was running a little harder than I wanted to at that early in the stage, so I just decided to fall in behind him. I was just going to ride there, and we're just logging laps, and I'm talking to my teammate, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to stay here until next pit. And he's like, we don't got to pit again. And I'm like, I look up, and I'm like, oh, crap. There's only 10 laps to go. I'm like, I better go if I want to win this. Yeah. So, I got to shout out to my teammate for reminding me we didn't have another pit stop coming, or Mark might have caught me sleeping there.
Oh, man, a great job. One heck of a finish and a great win, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it.
Jeff Oakes gets the win at the Nashville Superspeedway. Folks, don't forget, in just a few moments, the Unicorn will be trucking. Tune in and see what kind of chaos she has in store tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hope y'all had as much fun as we did. We'll see you in a few. Have a good one, everybody.